Druid. So let's do Druid. Alright. Let me update this to Fresh Druid Arena. Fresh Druid. There we go. Update that. Okay. So I actually really like the Royal Guard. Bittertide Hydra has some extreme value, but I've seen it also just ruin the game for you. And then Lesser Jasper Spellstone is also really good value and gives the Druid some identity, right? It gives you a lot of control of the board. So it kind of depends on whether we want to pick our first card as some early game control or something fat to help us later. I will say that this card has one too many times been the wrong attack and power on the turn that you want it to be. That just goes with the territory. The Spellstone also will synergize with a lot of Druid cards. Like we might get Branching Paths or Oaken Armor, right? So we've seen this really quickly turn into 6 damage. So I'm actually going to take the Spellstone just to hopefully get some value out of that. And then we get this fatty. That's a good fatty. We'll take that guy. Ooh, Ultimate Infestation. There we go. Love to see a swipe too, but you can't pass up the Ultimate Infestation. Knife Juggler. Okay. I love Ravencaller. Ravencaller is one of the. Oh, there he is. There's the mighty Italian. He had a cheeseburger last night. Couldn't join last night's stream because he was out to dinner for what seemed like 6 hours. He claims he couldn't find it yesterday, so there was probably some magic mushrooms on yesterday's cheeseburger, but you never know. Where'd you go, buddy? Where'd you get your cheeseburger from? We're gonna take the Ravencaller. Love the Ravencaller. Ooh, all 3 of these picks are actually really good, so we're getting some good value here. I think my favorite one is the Fire Plume, though this guy as taunt in mid game is really good too. So hopefully that works out. Starfall is just too valuable for some board clear. I don't think we're gonna need Spreading Plague. Let's assume we're gonna be the aggressor here. In St. Charles, Nico, you were right by my place, man. Could have gotten a cheeseburger together. Why didn't you tell me? So we always want in arena a silence if you can. Since we're playing Druid, there's at least a Druid specific card. So keep your eye out for Keeper of the Grove, and then you also want a poison. This is probably my favorite poison, if not second. It's tied with the Slug. The Slug late game is really good. This guy's much better mid game. Some of those other ones are okay, like the 1/5, that kind of stuff. But oh, I really like the way this deck is shaping out so far. I think Druid was the right call there. Floating Fish, let's see. So Mind Control Tech can get you extreme value. Greedy Sprite's good on turn 3, because we probably don't want to drop the Basilisk on turn 3. So sure, we're starting to get some curve there, but after you get a silence and a poison, the other thing you want in arena is value. So you could, in standard, build value extremely easily. That's what you're doing in Hearthstone. Since it's a limited card game, each deck has 30 cards. You're just building value. Some cards obviously have way more innate value than others. In arena, getting cards outside of your deck, even if they're not the best card, even if they're one given to you randomly, is going to eventually add up to having more value, right? I mean, if this were against the Flame Strike, we might not take it, but we're going to take the Bone Drake just for the option of being given a dragon that wins the game. All right. Nico's the man. Mighty Italian, give me the winky face. Thank you. Thank you. It's been extremely fun streaming. So we like this curve here. The nice thing about Tar Creeper is it's a solid turn 3. You always play it when you have it. It can chain into other elementals. I think that Phantom Militia is the best new taunt for arena. Rotten Apple's right up there. Rotten Apple's better in standard too, so I could see where it could be ranked higher in the sub for taunts, in the new set for taunts, but we're going to take the Phantom Militia and show you how good it is late game. So we've got a lot of late game here building up. Let's get some more early game. Let's take the Dire Wolf. Ooh, I just said that, but passing up a Bone Mare is tough. I love Forager. I was just talking about the value of getting a minion outside of the game. But Bone Mare is one of those minions that, compared to the Forger, having the value that you can rely on, the Bone Mare value, might be more than the Forger. Also, having a swipe is never a bad thing, especially when you're a Druid. But I think since we have a Starfall, we're going to want to get more minion base here. What are we looking at for early game? Man, it's tough to pass up a Bone Mare. We're going to take that. Oh, and there's the silence I was talking about. Keeper of the Grove. That's what we want right now. This guy is probably my least favorite of the new werewolves anyway. His value is good for a 1/4 with spell damage, but when he switches, every time I've wanted to play him, I've always wanted him as a 1/4. I've never wanted him as a 4/1 because you're playing him for that extra spell damage. You probably want him to live a little bit. I'm sure that the times you want him as a 4/1 do exist. I'm not saying they're not out there, but if he was a 3/2, right, that would actually be a really good card, I feel like, because you're not losing as much value in the swing, and they already gave us the 2/4 with the lifesteal. I don't think this card's that great either. I actually think Keeper of the Grove is a really good card, and I'm surprised that in their micro balances, Blizzard threw this in with these two. I think they might have missed the mark there. So we're going to be offered Wild Growths in Arena for Druids. I don't think it's worth keeping, honestly. Especially with the deck we've got building up here. I mean, it's never bad to ramp, and it can late game create you an excess mana. If you don't know how that works, my latest YouTube video that was released yesterday is actually about excess mana and Wild Growth and how that all works. So if you're curious about it, check it out. Leave a comment so that I know what your thoughts on excess mana are. But I think in Arena it's worth passing up, especially since we've got some decent curve going on here and we want to keep building on that. So let's go with this guy. So we've already got a poison. It's never bad to have more poison. Is that the most valuable card here? One of the tricks with the slug is May 19th. Nice, appreciate it. One of the drawbacks with the slug is every once in a while you get the slug early in your hand and you just feel like I can get value out of dropping him on turn 2, right? I'm against a 1/3, but the value is so much better late game that it's hard to keep him in your hand. So you can be kind of baited by your own card. That doesn't make him bad. It just means early game, yes, he's a 2-drop, but very rarely are you going to get the value out of him on turn 2 through 4 that you're going to get from 6+. Obviously, it depends on how the board's going, but we're going to take the Fairy Dragon and just build some early game control here. Wow, we actually have one of each of these cards already. Because of that, do we want a second militia? I always like having 2 militias when they're offered because it does give you value on turn 3, the militia. The most value you can get out of it, obviously, is with 9 mana. But having a second one, sometimes you say to yourself, yeah, I can toss this one out because I'll get another one. The Shell Shifter, what's our 4-drops look like, though? So we might want to build up to 4-drops a little bit here. Well, let's take the militia. Let's have 2 of those. Cryptoid's never bad. I'm wondering if we want a buff, though. I think we take the buff because there is a world where this on turn 4 is just insane, right? I think so. So there's the value I was talking about. Stonehill Defenders, always worth it. Always gets you a card outside of the game. Living Mana could be good, but I don't think it's worth it in case we play it and then get behind. We're in a lot of trouble because we do have a good curve in here, but we're going to need the late game to finish them out, and we don't want to get to turn 11 and have 6 mana and not be able to Bone Mare. So I think because of that we go with the Dark Iron Dwarf. Classic. I already passed up on 1 slug. Is it a mistake to do another? I don't think so. I think we take the Volcanosaur here for the value. Wow, both of these are actually really good. I think we go for another Basilisk. So Lone Champion also has insane value when you get the Taunt and Divine Shield. There have been half a dozen times where I've thought my deck does not need Lone Champion because I have a bunch of 2 and 3 drops and I could have used a Lone Champion. Or I end up with a Lone Champion anyway and we get the value out of it. So even if your deck is looking like mine, it's 85% minions. You're very likely going to have a minion on turn 2, turn 3. It does give you still insane value. But since we have the Defender and the Militias and the Crypt Lord, we're going to pass on it this time and go for something fat. It's just a question of whether we want the Crawler or the Long Neck. Now the Long Neck can help us stabilize a little better, gives us a lot more board presence in the middle of the game here. The Crawler is similar to Mind Control Tech, except the Mind Control Tech you can get any minion, right? But the Crawler can get you a huge swing if it just so happens to eat an early game pirate. So we're going to take the Crawler. We haven't seen that many early game pirates. I know they added some in the new set, but we haven't been seeing that many pirates in Arena, so we'll just take that and run with it. Man. So I applied for game director for Hearthstone. And if I get that job, I promise you guys that one of my first orders will be to have the mana curve split up between minions and spells. There's nothing that's more annoying than looking down here and seeing this entire curve and not really knowing how we're looking. Because I was just thinking, do I need another 5-drop? Look over here. Well, yeah, I have 2, and one is a spell, so it's not really a 5-drop minion to help you hit the curve. In Arena, often the way you win is just pressure and hitting a curve. So on top of every other strategy and the value you're looking for, the only way to win Hearthstone is to get your opponent's health down to 0, right? I mean, they made the Paladin decay, so there is one other win condition, but we're not going to win that way. That's going to be a really tough way to win as a Druid. So hitting the curve and just continuing the pressure is the best way to do it. I wish I'd given this guy at the Night Prowler one more buff, like the Lone Champion. I mean, 4 mana for a 6/6 obviously is good, but maybe Stealth, or I don't know if Taunt's right. Maybe Stealth if you have it, so that you get to choose the value of your only minion on the board instead of kind of throwing it out there and hoping it works out. What's our 4-drops look like? Those are all really good too. I think we get another 4-drop though, so that we can work with our 2-drops more. It's another heal. Oh, we got a lot of heal. I guess we take the Sunwalker instead of the second. Do we have any 1-drop minions? Nope. Dire Mole, welcome to the club, bro. Is that our 3rd Fire Plume? No, we passed up on one. Okay, we'll take another one here. We will take another one. I guess we take the Royal Guard. Alright. I think we're good here. I think this is going to get 9 wins just for you, Nico.